My name is Sylvain Grain, producer of D-Day Normandy 1944, and I invite you to go to the closest giant screen, maybe 3D or dome theaters, and see our film. Hopefully it will be close to you. If not, hopefully it will come soon. So enjoy.
In June 1944, they were 10, 20, or 50 years old. Their names were John, Winston, Violette, Edward, Dwight. They were from 12 different nations. But that summer, they united to liberate Europe. That summer, together with hundreds of thousands of men and women, they wrote one of the most important pages of history. Today, let's remember those who gave everything that summer in Normandy for our liberty. D-Day, Normandy 1944. Landing soon in 3D on giant screens.
D-Day Normandy 1944, it's a large format documentary we've been working on for the past 3 years now. It's been released in 2014 for the 70th anniversary of D-Day and the landing in Normandy. It has been released so far in 50 theaters all around the world, in Canada, in the US, in France. It opened recently in Netherlands. It's playing in Denmark, but also in Singapore. We will open the film in regular theaters in Belgium at the end of the month, and basically our goal was to tell the story of D-Day, but from a new perspective, because people know a lot about this important page of history because they saw amazing documentaries with archival pictures, or they saw Hollywood movies or very good TV series on that topic. But we wanted to tell the story differently from an educational point of view, and not only what happened on the D-Day, but what happened before, why, where it happened, and how they prepared this huge operation, and what were the consequences. So it's not only the D-Day itself, but before and after, and what does it mean today, 70 years later, this operation for us. So my name is Sylvain Grain. I'm French. I'm producer in a production company called N3D Land Film. We are based close to Paris in France, in a little city called Sèvres. Our company is a 10-year-old company now, and we are specialized in the production of IMAX 3D and dome documentaries. There's capturing the film and showing the film. And the thing is that to film in 70 millimeters, it's harder and harder, and we shot everything in digital for the film in very high resolution. But among the 1,000 IMAX theater or giant screen theaters now running in the world, you still have 70 millimeters projectors. So the film is running in both digital and 70 millimeters technologies. So we've got several prints of the film for IMAX 3D theaters, IMAX 2D theaters, and domes in 70 millimeters. Maybe half of the theaters, half of the copy actually running the film are in 70 millimeters. 3D version, may it be in digital or for 70mm projectors, it's basically a 16:9 ratio. But for the dome theaters, the field of view, it's more like a 4:3 ratio. So the dome copies of the film are a specific version of the film. Even the editing is a little bit different, and the framing is different. So we post-produce the film, one version of the film in 16:9 in 3D, and we post-produce the film for domes in 4:3. So it's a parallel pipeline for the post-production. IMAX 3D theaters in digital or 70mm are 16:9 now. The IMAX 3D theaters in the past were 4:3, and you're right, they have small black bars up and down of the pictures. So, but they are very, very small, and it's nearly not visible. Actually, we made the film natively in 3D and in 4K. We shot in higher resolution, especially for the dome version of the film. There are some shots, for example, aerials in helicopter. We shot some sequences twice. One with a 3D rig with 2 RED cameras, and one with the 2D rig with a Sony f/65 camera. So with a bigger resolution for the 4:3 version of the film. So the digital version of the film is now available in 4K, 4K 3D, 4K 2D, and in 2K for regular theaters. And the film has been released in both formats. And there's also a third, actually, a third digital version, which is the digital IMAX 3D version. So it's basically they are mastering the 4K master and creating the digital IMAX master. But actually it's a better resolution, a better rendering than a regular 2D 2K theater because of the IMAX digital technology. All the post-production has been made in 4K 3D. So we mixed the different contents we built, maybe live action or CG animation or archival pictures, and we post-produce everything in a 4K 3D environment. Basically, we shot all the live action, the background, in 5K with RED cameras. Then we post-produce it to prepare it for the compositing. And then the CG studio, we're making all the visual effects and animation in 4K 3D, and we composite it in 4K 3D. The digital IMAX 3D version, it's pretty good. When you're looking at this version in a very good IMAX digital theater, it's astonishing. But the dome version, as we made a lot of efforts to have a very relevant full view dome version, looking at a film in a dome theater, even if it's not 3D, it's very impressive and very immersive. So I like both experiences. With the older audience, people like having this texture of the print of the 70mm. But when you start looking at digital in high resolution, it's so stabilized and perfect that going back to the 70mm in the same theaters, it's unfair for the 70 print. So I would prefer the digital version if it's shown in good conditions, because it's also a security for us as a content creator that the audience will always have the same quality for the projection, and it won't be alterated with time because of the copy. Actually, as the film has been entirely made digital, with digital sources, it has been printed at the end in a laboratory in California. So they had the digital master, the 4K or the 5K master, and they printed it on a 70mm print. We worked with several companies. We worked with Selco for their scan, and we work with RPG for the post-production management, and at the end the laboratory who made the copy is Photocam. Actually, we are 3D guys, and we did everything natively from the beginning in 3D, thinking in 3D. So if I have the choice, I will always show the 3D version to the audience, because we made it in 3D, thinking about 3D. It's not just we have a 3D version of the film. It's a 3D film. But it's also a giant screen film made for domes. So I wouldn't say 3D or 2D, I would say 3D or immersive dome. And both experiences are interesting. Actually, for the soundtrack of the film, we lived a very important experience the first time for us. We worked with a French composer who's the producer of the soundtrack in Paris, who made wonderful music for the film, and we were dreaming for a time about working with a big orchestra. So we've been to London and we worked with the London Symphony Orchestra to record the music at the Air Studio, and this is it. It has been mixed in Paris by the same studio. It has been finished in a studio in Brussels, in Belgium, for the IMAX mix. And actually, in 2 months, that's a big news. We will go back to Belgium and work with a Belgian company called Auro 3D at Galaxy Studio, and we will make, for the first time for us, an Auro 3D version of D-Day, 11.1 version. So we will remix entirely the film, the English version for the film, so to start with, and we hope to release it during the year in new theaters in Auro 3D version. It's always difficult because we are a very small company, and even if we've got a lot of experience in filmmaking and giant screen documentaries, it's always difficult, but we had spent 5 years to make the first film, C-Rex, that has been released in 2010. We spent only 3 years to make D-Day, so hopefully the next one we will make it in only 2 years, and we'll find it more easily. We already started working on a Blu-ray 3D and 2D version, and it will include some very interesting making-of sequences of the film, because we shot a lot of material all along the 3 years of productions. So we gave a slice of this making-of online. You can find some videos on YouTube showing the soundtrack production, or showing, for example, the making of the sand animation, one of the techniques we use for the film, and you will find more in the Blu-ray. We think that this could be released at the end of the year, 2015.